This is Carl Eller, and you're watching the One Bar and Lupagus show.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus show. I'm Lupagus with the return of Skoling with the Enemy. It has been 2 weeks since we've scolded with anybody. Foz was on his honeymoon, just pounding away, and then we couldn't find a Rams guy, but we're back with a familiar face. It is Ryan, Packernet Podcast. How you doing? I mean, he's a familiar face to the viewers, a stranger to me. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
Well, I would be doing good if I was you too, because Packers are sitting very pretty right now. They could actually be nothing to play for when this game starts on Sunday night if Dallas loses. Who they play? They got a pretty tough. Is it Arizona?
Arizona, I think, yeah.
So that's definitely a game that you guys may have nothing to play for when this thing kicks off on Sunday night.
I really hope so. I'm tired of being stressed all the time. They keep bringing all these stupid games down to the wire. You know, you're supposed to be a good team, but then it's like always that. I'm just tired of being stressed. It'd be nice to just have 1 week where I don't even care. It doesn't even matter.
Do you know who you're talking to? The team that every game was on the wire, no matter what, and we lose because we bad teams find ways to lose these games. And that's what we're doing.
But at least you don't have anything to worry about anymore.
We're still technically alive. We're still technically alive. We're gonna go with this thing until we're absolutely.
All right, I'll be nice. I just had to get my one shot in.
It's fine. All right, so the first thing I want to talk to you about is Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers, you see him in games complaining like he's actually begging for a holding call or something as he's being pulled down. The last game against the Vikings, he left the field before the end of the half. He's on there making comments about COVID and all this stuff. Is he absolutely untouchable in Green Bay, or is there a point where some of you guys have just kind of had enough of this guy and like are sick of him, or is he just absolutely he can do anything he wants?
I mean, there's always a contingent of anti-Rodgers people. I mean, since he took over for Favre, some people have never really come around. It's always been for different reasons. For a long time, there's been a little kind of anti-diva Rodgers, and I'm a little bit in that camp. Sometimes I love Rodgers, but sometimes it's like, dude, just stop your complaining, stop your whining. Even with, prior to the mega drama, he's always kind of had this like, you guys aren't doing enough for us or whatever. And it's like, I don't care, dude. Go play or don't, or, I just don't want to with it. And now with the whole COVID thing, now there's a whole new batch of people that don't like him, plus a new batch of people that do like him, depending on what side of that you fall on. But there's always been a steady stream of people that either love him or borderline just tolerate him because he's really good.
Yeah, I was actually, I respect him. I respect him as a player, and I was actually starting to like him with his Jeopardy stuff, and kind of preparing for his career post NFL. But I don't know, this year he's just brought me right back to square one. I can't stand the guy anymore. All right, so obviously the Packers sitting pretty when it comes in terms of the playoffs. As far as the NFC goes, what team worries you the most right now?
It's kind of weird because I can't even tell who's good and who's not, but I feel like everybody kind of scares me a little bit. Whether it's because they're really good or I just really don't like even the Vikings. It's like, I know you guys can beat us, and losing in the playoffs to the Vikings would be one of the most devastating things. So it's not necessarily the quality of the team, but I'm terrified of playing the Vikings in the playoffs. I don't want to play the Dallas Cowboys because they're white hot right now, and losing to Mike McCarthy, him using us as a stepping stool to go to the Super Bowl would be,
I didn't think of that.
It would make me sick to my stomach. Tampa Bay, for obvious reasons, would be horrible. 49ers are hanging on for dear life right now with all their situation, but I just hate them and I don't want to deal with them. There really aren't a lot of teams that I do want to play. So it's at some point, you're just going to have to suck it up. We don't have the Seahawks to beat up on. We've been kind of beating up on them for a while, but they're not even going to make it. So the Rams are kind of the only team that we've been consistently beating that we might get to face. Cardinals seem to be kind of in a bit of a rough patch, but I mean, it's the playoffs and it's going to suck either way. And, we're going to win our first game, lose our second game, and then have to suffer for the rest of the offseason because that's just how this goes.
Well, that was my next question. So if you guys do get to the Super Bowl, what AFC team worries you the most? I know you're thinking
that's tough
about
too, because I know for a period, the Patriots were starting to scare me, which annoyed me because I thought they were going to be done forever. And then they started getting scary again. Buffalo is terrifying, but they're also just garbage like once every fourth week. I don't know what the deal is with that. I would have to say probably Chiefs, which is another team that I was excited because they started to seem like they were declining. The defense was terrible. Mahomes was kind of falling off. all of a sudden they got like the best defense in football, and Mahomes is back to being his old self. So that would probably be the one team right now, because everything's just going nuts with teams being good and bad and good and bad. But right now, I'd probably say the Chiefs scare me the most.
Yeah, it's truly a weird season, and that's what makes me the most upset with the Vikings kind of stumbling this year. Is that if they get in, I think anybody's really got a shot, just because there's no dominant teams this year.
You know, Arizona just not too long ago was the best team in football, and now they can't figure out how to win football games. So it's a very weird season.
Absolutely. So let's talk about the Packers a little bit. So, who's been like the most disappointing Packer all year long for you?
Most disappointing Packer. Immediately coming to mind, Alan Lazard has been kind of a problem. One of the things with the offense that's been great is you got Rodgers, you've got a good running back, you've got a decent offensive line, you got Devontae, but the thing that kind of takes it to that next level has always been that there's somebody else. You know what I mean? It's not just cover Devontae and you can shut him down, whether it's Lazard or MVS or whoever. But with MVS kind of being out or sick or whatever the case might be, and we lost our top tight end, we kind of needed Lazard to step up, and he's just been really bad this year. Darnell Savage hasn't been quite as good as we were hoping. He ended last year white hot, and this year he's been not super great. I can't really think of anybody else off the top of my head. Those would probably be the two that are the most disappointing.
Sure, absolutely. All right. Again, we're here with Ryan from Packernet Podcast. Those links will be in the description below. At least hop on there, give them some hell after we beat the Packers on Sunday night. Or you can do them a favor, subscribe to whatever you guys want to do. It would be great. All right. So we just talked about the most disappointing Packer of the year. Who's been the biggest surprise, positive surprise?
Well, I mean, it's hard to not mention Rasul Douglas. I know he hasn't really been a Packer for very long, but I mean, I have no idea how there are so many Packer fans that don't like Brian Gutekunst. I have to just assume it's the whole Aaron Rodgers controversy, but he's done such a great job of just finding guys that when we sign him, it's like, why? Well, I don't understand. Well, even Zadarius Smith, we paid him $17 million a year. He was a rotational guy in Baltimore. And it's like, what are we doing here? And he goes on to be whatever he is. Rasul Douglas, Devondre Campbell, these are guys that had never had any success anywhere that came here and are just superstars on this team. Eric Stokes has been pretty solid as a rookie corner. He's not elite, but he just does his job. He doesn't get beat up on. He doesn't get taken to task by anybody, or at least he doesn't recently. But yeah, if we're allowed to talk about recent additions in free agency, it has to be Rasul Douglas.
You can talk about whoever you want. That's your right here.
Do what I want.
You can. All right. So maybe Wumba already talked to you about this in a previous one. I can't remember, but Vikings, Packers here. We live right on the border town. We got Superior, Wisconsin, just across the lake. So there's a lot of Packers, Vikings fans here. So it's definitely the biggest rivalry where we are. But I know Chicago Bears, Packers is a huge one. You are actually on the Illinois border. It sounds like you have some connections to both. In your opinion, who do you like beating more, the Vikings or the Bears? And who do you think the Packers enjoy beating more?
That kind of fluctuates. I think it has been the Vikings for a very long time. I remember because I grew up in Illinois. So for me, it was always Packers, Bears, Packers, Bears, Packers, Bears. And then when I moved up to Wisconsin, everybody's like, nobody cares about the Bears. They've been irrelevant for so long. The Vikings are the rival. And I kind of embodied that because it has been kind of a better rivalry. But for some reason, something about Bears fans this year with the whole Justin Fields thing, and we're going to be so good, and the North runs through us now, and it just rubbed me the wrong way. So I have been pretty relentless in my assault of mocking them and ridiculing them for not just how bad their team is, but how bad Justin Fields has been. And I've even had Packer fans tell me, you need to just stop because you talk too much about Justin Fields on the podcast, but I can't help it. So that has been kind of the biggest thing for this year. But I think it is a more satisfying thing to beat the Vikings because it's actually kind of a challenge. I mean, we haven't lost to the Bears in I don't know how long, so it's not worth talking about. It's literally the Lions are more of a challenge than the Bears are.
Yeah. So it was safe to say you're a fan of the I own you comments that Aaron Rodgers dropped on the fans.
Yeah, I mean, only because it annoyed them. I don't really care, but anything that annoys them makes me happy.
I actually liked when you said that, to be honest with you. I thought it was something most players wouldn't say. To see that kind of honesty.
Yeah, it was also nice because nobody could refute it. Even some Bears fans, as mad as they were, it's like, there's nothing I can really say. I mean, it's about as true a statement as
he's not wrong. He was not wrong at all. All right. So Aaron Rodgers, I'm not going to ask you if he's coming back or not, but are you concerned that the sun is beginning to set at the Packers having an elite quarterback, or are you a Jordan Love believer?
I mean, I think the vast majority of Packer fans assume, because we watched him play one game, that he's just horrible. And again, a lot of this is drama about Aaron Rodgers. There's, as many people as don't like Aaron Rodgers, you have people that are obsessed with Aaron Rodgers, and that's all they care about. So drafting Jordan Love, we hate Gutekunst, we hate Jordan Love, et cetera, et cetera. So that's sort of the internal drama. But I have no idea what Jordan Love is going to be. I trust Brian Gutekunst and their staff. I trust our head coach, who is a great quarterback coach, to be able to get him up to speed. It's just a matter of whether Jordan Love has it in him at all. But I have no idea what he's going to be. It's definitely sad that Rodgers is going to, whether it's this year, next year, or in 3 years, just the fact that it has to end sometimes sucks. But I've been feeling that for the last 5 years, knowing someday it's going to end. But I personally don't think it's going to end next year. I think he'll be back. I don't exactly know how it's going to work out. I know there's drama right now about, well, he didn't deny he wouldn't retire. So what? He just said, I don't know. And, he's leaving his options open like he always has. I'm sure he's going to have a conversation. But I think with what Brian Gutekunst has done, being aggressive and doing pretty much everything Rodgers has been asking for, and Rodgers has done nothing but talk about how happy he is here and how much he loves the team and loves the franchise and loves playing and loves Lambeau and loves the teammates. It just doesn't make sense that anybody would want to move on. I think the Packers wanted to move on at one point because Rodgers was declining and because he was grumpy and because he was expensive. And then all of a sudden Matt LaFleur shows up. He's back-to-back MVP. They're going to change their mind a little bit, I think. So yeah. I just think that this is going to continue. And I'm quietly waiting patiently because it seems like everyone is just assuming it's over after this year. So I'm just going to wait for the heads to explode when he comes back, and because nobody seems to be expecting that.
Yeah. Again, I'm here with Ryan from Packernet Podcast. Again, links will be in the descriptions. Check them out. Give them a follow. Great stuff. Speaking of guys not coming back, this very well could be Mike Zimmer's final game against the Packers. Everybody expects him to be out at the end of the year. Your opinion, going against Mike Zimmer, are you happy to see him done? Would you rather he stays? You don't give a shit? I mean, what's your thoughts on Mike Zimmer?
I'm always pretty conservative with that stuff. Every time somebody wants somebody gone, in Green Bay, for example, I'm like, it could always be worse. And so it scares me just from the standpoint of, at least what the Vikings are. You know what I mean? They're good, but they're never really great. So it's the right move to move on from Zimmer. You have to move on because you need to get over the hump and do it the right way. And hopefully you can get to where you need to be. But I think he's a good coach, and I think he runs a good defense. He's not maybe good enough, and maybe his kind of, it's run its course, but I think it's going to decline a while. And I'm just kind of hopeful that you guys are going to make a bad decision, because there's probably more bad coaches than good coaches. I mean, it's for anybody, you know what I mean? I mean, anybody that's going out to get a new coach, or even in the draft or whatever it is, odds are you're going to miss, because there's more misses than hits. So it is the right decision, and I'll be crossing my fingers that you don't hit the lottery and find the next great coach and whatever. But yeah, it's mixed feelings, but I'm probably more happy than upset, because I do think this team is fine-tuned for Mike Zimmer. And if you're going to bring somebody else in, if nothing else, you're going to have to tear this thing down and rebuild it in somebody else's image. And if nothing else, that's going to take a couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Everybody wants an offensive-minded coach, and there's a good chance it could be a first-timer out there. So who knows what you can get from that. So, but NFC North could have two new head coaches next year. Matt Nagy definitely gone as well in Chicago, so it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Matt LaFleur will be like the old man in the division, which is kind of crazy.
I was mentioning, I work with a guy who's a Vikings fan, and I was mentioning, even if Rodgers does leave, the Packers got a shot for a while, because everyone else is just completely tearing their rosters apart. The Bears got to start over. The Vikings got, maybe, who knows, maybe the Lions will win the division next year. That'll be something.
Who knows? I mean, I want to play for Dan Campbell. I'll be honest with you. Right? I would definitely, I wouldn't mind doing that. So if the Cowboys do lose and the Packers, have everything home field secured before this game starts, do you see them resting starters at some point in this game on Sunday, or are they going to just, stick it to the rivals and try to destroy the Vikings and take pride in eliminating them from the playoffs? I
can't get it out of my head that they're going to play. I I don't think the players are going to like it if they're told to rest. I feel like that's kind of, I don't know what you call it, but you want to go in with that intensity. You don't want to take your foot off the gas or whatever. Personally, I think it's stupid. As banged up as everybody is, I mean, including Aaron Rodgers, and I mean, guys are just struggling. It's a longer season. If you have the opportunity to rest them, I would rest them, especially, if you got 2 weeks. I understand it. You don't want to, you want that Dan Campbell mentality of we're just going to keep attacking, but it's just so risky. I mean, guys are getting hurt so often. If you have the opportunity to rest your guys and you play them and you lose somebody like Devontae Adams, I mean, that's your season right there. So I think they're going to play him. I don't think it'll be the right decision.
Yeah. I expect to see the Packers going full bore all game long. All right. So Sunday Night Football, we got Chris Collinsworth and L. Michaels. Chris Collinsworth, everybody knows how much he likes to talk about Aaron Rodgers and love Aaron Rodgers. Personally, I can't stand Chris Collinsworth when he's talking about anybody. When he's talking about Aaron Rodgers, it's even more intolerable. As a Packers fan, what's your opinion, Chris Collinsworth, and what's your opinion of him when he's talking about Aaron Rodgers?
As long as it's not Troy Aikman, I don't care. It's the only guy I can't stand. Everybody else is fine. We with John Madden passing away, I had the ability to talk about him a little bit, and I just thought, he's the only guy that I think everybody just loved.
Yeah.
Everybody's got their thing. Like, I don't like this guy because of this, and pretty much I don't really care who's announcing as long as it's not Aikman. He's the one guy that rubs me. But everybody just kind of a little bit annoys me. They make their little comments about this penalty or that penalty. I'm like, you idiot! You're stupid. That's not the right whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. There was never anybody like Madden, and there never will be. So everybody's just annoying to me. As long as they're not Madden, they kind of suck, in my opinion.
Yeah, I used to. Joe Buck used to drive me crazy, especially after the Randy Moss Moon thing.
I don't like
that drove me nuts. But to me now, it's Chris Collinsworth. He's always laughing. Like, what's he laughing about all the time? I don't get it. He's so arrogant too. It drives me crazy. Yeah. All right, so final here with Ryan from Packernet Podcast. Again, check out the link in the description. Great stuff. Prediction: it's going to be a cold game with like 1 degree. Is that what they're predicting right now at kickoff? How do you see this thing shaking out? Who comes out on top? And are we going to be bored out of our minds in our Viking primetime game?
No, it won't be boring. It's almost kind of too obvious to predict this game because the Vikings and the Packers have the exact opposite way that their games always go. The Vikings look like they're about to win a game and then they lose it at the end, and the Packers always look like they're about to lose the game and then they win it at the end. So at halftime, the Vikings will probably be up 21-10. And then by the end of the third quarter, it'll be 27-17. And somehow the Packers will end up winning at 27-28, either by the Packers winning a field goal or the Vikings missing a field goal or something stupid like that. So no, I think it's going to be a really stressful game for Packers fans for 3 quarters, and then a devastating game for Vikings fans in the fourth quarter is my expectation.
Thank you for that. We are used to that this year, by the way. Every single game has come down. Well, we were up on the Steelers 33-3, where the hell it was. No one felt safe at that point, and of course they came back and it came down to the final play, which every game seems to do for the Vikings. So, all right, that is it. That is Skoling with the Enemy. Thank you, Ryan, for hopping on. Always appreciate seeing your lovely face, and I'm sure we'll see you again. Probably draft time. We'll reach out again, see what the is thinking. You guys will be probably picking in the 30s. We'll be picking probably in the early teens. So it is what it is.
That's always the worst. The Packers had picked 12 once, and it was like, this just sucks. There's no good players at 12, and you're not high enough, and you don't get the glory of being in the third. But
yeah,
I'm sure you'll get a good player. Just don't pick a center this time.
There's that one from Iowa. Looks pretty tantalizing.
Yeah.
All right. So that's it, guys. Again, thanks for hopping on. Check them out. Links in the description. And always remember to keep your skull in your hole.